As a kid and as a teenager, I used to be very shy. It was so bad to the point where I would be too nervous speaking to just one person. So when I had a presentation, I would think about it for weeks and days. And when I would do the presentation, I would be constantly shaking. My voice would shake as well, and it would be just a very uncomfortable situation for me to be in. I hated presentations. I would rather write a 15-page essay than do a presentation. And just talking to a lot of people that I don't feel comfortable around made me really shy. And yeah, so I want to talk about my personal experience, how I managed to overcome my shyness and gained more confidence. So what made me change that about myself, I have been shy like since I was a kid, and the way I would deal with it, I sometimes would try to change that about myself because everybody tells you to just be confident and to not be shy, but it really isn't as easy as they think it is, you know? And the way I would deal with it, like I would try once and just give up, and I would try to avoid uncomfortable situations. So if we had guests over, I would stay in my room so I don't have to say hi to them. And just in my daily life, try to avoid as many uncomfortable situations and interactions with people I do not feel comfortable with as possible. And at some point, I realized how much I have missed out on in life just because of how shy I am, and because I was so concerned with how people see me and how I behave when people are around. And I realized that I would be missing on so many more experiences and opportunities in life if I do not change. And because I was almost an adult at that time, I was still a teenager, I felt a sense of urgency. No, I had a sense of urgency to change my situation because I realized like how much I will miss out on, and the fact that I wouldn't be able to realize my full potential if I stay with that lack of confidence. So having a lot of self-awareness at that time and being really honest with myself and holding myself accountable and being responsible helped me see my mistakes, and also the fact that I need to change something about myself. And I thought about how I would change that, and I used to like listen to a lot of music thinking that it would make me more confident, but in reality it doesn't matter how much content you watch or how much music you listen to. You might feel confident like for a few seconds or minutes, but you will be back to your old self like really quickly. So it didn't really have that much of an effect on me as I thought it would. And I realized that I had to take action. So the situations that I would try to avoid, and normally because I felt really uncomfortable, I started like welcoming uncomfortable situations and try to take advantage of them. So I started talking more to people. If I had a question, I would ask, and if we had guests over or I was meeting someone new, I would say hi and introduce myself. The things that I was avoiding in my daily life, I started approaching them differently, seeing them as an opportunity for me to grow. Because if you stay in your comfort zone and you act the same way you have been acting before, nothing will change. So you have to do things the opposite of what you have been doing, and do things differently. And I started doing smaller things and then slowly add up to it. And later I started like working, so that also helped. But really try to talk to as many people as possible. And I started reading self-help books. It wasn't, the books were not about confidence. The books were not about confidence, but because they dealt a lot with how we think and the way we act, they did touch a little bit on that topic, and I started like understanding myself better and realized like what triggers certain behaviors and the pattern of my behavior as well. And I started observing my behavior, see how I act in certain situations and why. So reading really helps understanding myself. I wasn't watching that much self-improvement content back then, so it was more the books that I was reading. And I learned about like the different kind of fears. And there was this like book that I read, The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and he talks about resistance and how resistance takes so many different kind of forms to keep us from doing the work we need to do. And he presents a rule in that book that I think about a lot, and he says the more resistance you feel towards something, the more important it is for you to do it. So if you feel a lot of fear towards talking to someone, then it is very important for you to do so. And it can't be as small as just talking. It can be something bigger. So he's talking more about creative work and other things in the book, but I think it can be applied to other things as well. Yeah. And what also helped me is I started working out. This is something that a lot of people suggest. I think it's obvious, but still, you can't rely on just one thing to make you confident. I think the most important thing is to really take action and do the thing, even if you're feeling uncomfortable, to practice being confident. And really, because if you can do so many things, like you can journal about it, you can watch content, you can do all of these things, but how do you apply the knowledge that you have? You have to apply the knowledge, or else it's useless information. And I think that's it.